air quality management.
Yeah, I can
That's the
hear
legal
that.
group that is proposing this, and by law, they can pass this law on this mandate and
Trickle down to us. Any questions on that issue? Yes, ma'am.
That every I'm assuming people are putting something new.
Right. Right.
It has to be elected.
Correct. Correct.
That's why.
Exactly. But after a certain date, 27. So the question was, so the comment was that this doesn't mean everyone has to go out right now and retrofit their home. What it means is after 2027, 2029, if, for example, your gas furnace goes out, well, now you're obligated in order to update your electrical panel and move to electric. So the good point. New developments that come in are all going to be beholden to it, but ultimately your gas furnace is going to go out. So ultimately this is going to impact you. When that happens depends on how recently you got yours updated or fixed. Yes, ma'am.
Is this also for fire stovetops?
Yes. Yes. So no, yeah, they're moving away from gas completely. Yeah.
You talked about 27 and 29.
Yeah. So one of them I think is for furnaces and the other one is gas altogether. David, you know?
Yeah. Don't really need a mic ever, but 27 is water heaters.
Yeah.
29 is furnaces. 31 is for large units like apartment buildings with 100 units. And there's a website called toocostlybayarea.com if you want more information. That's TOO, costlybayarea.com. And there's a group of people that are working very hard to convince enough people of the 24 members of the Bay Area Air Quality Management District, of only 4 of which are from Santa Clara County, to revisit this issue for a number of reasons, because it's going to have a huge impact in at least 2031 on affordable housing projects that do not have the money to do these retrofits. And so when their water heater goes out, they'll either close the building or the tenants won't have hot water.
Yeah. So it's another example of it sounds good, but the practical reality is the common person is going to be footing the bill. And when the rubber hits the road, there's going to be a lot of issues with this.
George.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, Gary.
I am a landlord and I have a place that's for low income renters.
Right.
And I have been told that I need to get rid of my gas heater. And they've told me that it'll cost the tenant 6 times as much to have electricity and that I have to install it, which means I will raise the rent to recover my costs. And then they will pay 6 times as much to heat the place.
Right. That's the negative consequences that I was referring to, especially for small business owners. Ultimately, that's what you are when you're a landlord, and who ends up footing the bill? The landlord has to pass this through, and these become less profitable business endeavors. So you have less folks involved in this. So ultimately, it's going to be a net negative in the short run, you know, maybe 15, 20, 30 years from now, as we're all used to it, it won't be much of a problem, but this is going to be, and the Santa Clara County realtors, for example, they've come out really strongly against this, and rightfully so, as an advocacy position. I'll get to you, ma'am, but this gentleman had a question. The question was, what was the justification for moving towards this? I mean, ultimately at a local and a state level, we're pushing climate action as a priority. So to be net neutral, I think, is ultimately the goal. So it is a climate goal that we're trying to achieve. And there's things happening on a city level too that they're trying to pursue as well. Yeah. Buford. Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. No, ma'am. I'm sorry. Let's go back. I'm right to you, Buford. Sorry.
But isn't it true that the landlord would not be able to pass it on unless a new tenant took possession of the unit? Because we have a 5% rent cap.
Well, I think he's talking about the monthly fee that they'll end up having to pay. So tenant is responsible for their utility fees.
Oh, if they are.
Yeah. And Buford?
Will the capacity of our electrical grid handle the additional and reliably?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So in addition to this you know, the AI boom is coming and we've got a lot of new data centers that are coming online. So the demand for energy and for electricity is going to be really pronounced. So I can't confidently say yes to you. That's price will go up, and ultimately, we got to deal with PG&E, and historically speaking, they haven't been the best partner. So I can tell you, I have a glass half full perspective on it.
So you're on the council,
Yes, ma'am.
and Mayor Matt Mann just posted that he worked with PG&E because of the AI we're expecting
Right.
to come to an agreement on supporting San Jose with the amount of increased support they would need. So you're saying no, he's saying.
No, that's true. So there was a proposed San Jose municipal. So Santa Clara, for example, they have their own electricity. They produce it. But PG&E came into this because we were pursuing that route. So now PG&E and San Jose has come into an agreement where PG&E is going to provide the infrastructure and create the infrastructure we need. We have 2 additional power lines, and one coming up from the south and one coming down from Alviso into northern San Jose. And so just in time for us to try to get the data centers we need to support the AI revolution, we did come into a partnership with PG&E, and ultimately I supported that, with the caveat that I wanted a clear off-ramp in the contract, because PG&E has to meet a number of milestones in order for them to, I guess, fulfill their responsibilities in the contract. And I'm skeptical that PG&E will do it. And so we have those off-roads, those off-ramps in the contract. Ultimately, if they don't fulfill it, we can go back to pursuing our own municipal power.
With those off-roads in the contract from that, does that factor in any kind of accountability or support from CPUC or any other issues, and the impact of the federal government? As you know, they just overturned some of our climate, or every one of our climate issues on this point. Do you think that will play in as well?
I don't know. So is the honest answer to that. I don't know. Yeah, that's it's hard to tell. We don't know how long we're going to be dealing with the shortfalls in terms of the federal government and the policy direction that we're dealing with at the moment. And it's going to take at least a year to a couple of years for this to get rolling and for us to see whether or not PG&E is hitting their milestones or not. So follow up.
Okay, I really have to say that I appreciate Matt coming out and stating which way we'll go and that we'll work with PG&E. But the issue is hope is not a strategy.
Yeah.
And hope is not a strategy. Yeah. And we have to be willing to know that they're going to play games. They're going to be slow, and it won't come at the area to where we can be compliant. So when your water heater goes out, or when your furnace starts, and today the furnaces that are being installed, I'm being told that the actual life is about 7 years for a gas furnace.
Right.
So we're all kind of dead in
No, it's
that
going to impact
area.
everyone.
But how do we get everybody working to make what has to happen, rather than a statement in principle,
right,
into an action plan?
So I can tell you PG&E was motivated to make sure, because they don't want a ripple effect. They don't want other municipalities going out and starting their own municipal power plants, and San Jose being the 3rd largest city. So this was something that they prioritized. So they came to the table motivated to get the deal done. And I can tell you, as an attorney, one of my key features and I think benefits that I served the council was in the meeting, and you can go back and watch it. It's televised. I emphasized over and over again that the contract needs clear language where we can get out of it. And I was able to review the contract before we actually signed it. And there are clear milestones that they need to achieve. And this is this is not just one project. They're doing a number of different projects throughout the city in order to achieve and create the foundation to get the power that we need. And so this is $200, $300, $400 million that they're investing into this infrastructure for us. For them, it's a drop in a bucket, of course. But I can assure you that the contract is written in a way where we unilaterally can pull out of it if we feel like they haven't been meeting their milestones. Yeah. After fires, yeah. Yeah. So she said, remember when they promised that they were going to underground all of the power lines after the fires that occurred. And I think to your point, much of that hasn't happened, and they're doing a lot of commercials and they're marketing themselves as someone that's been a responsible steward and that they've achieved what they said they were going to. But they were supposed to do a lot of, they have done some stuff here in Almaden, did a couple of things, and the little that they do, they definitely throw a party, and there's a lot of fanfare for the little that they've done. But I mean, to your point, ultimately, I think the bottom line is you don't trust PG&E, and neither do I. And I can assure you the contract is written in a way that we have a clear off-ramp if they don't hit the milestones. That was the best I could do under the circumstances. Thank you. Any more questions?
Hello, my
on
friend.
PG&E?
Yes.
Yes, sir. I don't know that that's the case. No, I don't know that. No, they're not burning coal. Yeah, that's actually outside of my area of expertise. I can follow up. I know that we need the capacity to accommodate, for example, the data centers and what's coming in. But I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Just to back you up a little bit there, data centers. Where is the energy going to come from that? You already know it's an enormous amount of energy. It's an enormous amount of energy required per data center. I mean, it's astronomical.
Yeah.
So where are we with that? I mean, we know Northern California is an independent energy producing region. We don't import, we export. But where is that energy from these data centers, which is an enormous amount of energy, going to be coming from?
So the PG&E contract that we have, that we signed, that we were referring to, was to build in the infrastructure to accommodate the additional energy that we'll need, for them to come online. And I will say, as a business model for us, they don't require many services. It's going to be a big tax revenue generator, and they don't require a lot of services. So in that sense, it's an attractive deal for us. But that's what this conversation with PG&E and this contract was, because we have 2 power lines coming in from the south and 1 from the north. Yeah. Well, the grid is being updated. It is at the moment. I forget the name of the company we're working with. And it's 2 lines that are coming up, one from South San Jose up through Coyote Valley, and another one coming down from Alviso down into San Jose. That's also going to be, yeah. Again, outside of my wheelhouse. I don't know that we've pursued geothermal at all. Appreciate it. Thank you. Yes.
You talk how we're having more power for how about power for the new furnaces and the new stovetops? Is that all going to be
Yeah, it's all part of it.
put into that?
Yeah. I hate to make it even worse, but a big problem we're having right now with PG&E is, for example, any new project that comes online is taking months for them to come out. So if you can have a permit for a new development, or even your home, for example, if you have an ADU that you want to put up and get PG&E to come out, that's going to be 6 months, 8 months, potentially a year before they'll actually come out and do it. So there's no rosy immediate situation or in the near future, but at some point we're hoping to come up out of this. Great question. Yes, sir.
Hi, George. The Almaden Research Center, IBM is going to be closed. Do you know what the plans are? Is that going to be a data center, or? I worked for IBM for 40 years, so
Okay.
I don't even know.
Yeah, no, Jane we had this conversation a week or 2 ago. So it's my understanding that it's for sale.
Yep.
And in addition to the site itself, the buildings themselves, there's hundreds of acres that are also
Right.
part of that. And that's my understanding that the intent is to have to separate the land from the building. But I have no news in terms of whether or not someone's actually bid on it and what type of response they're getting from the market. So IBM is selling it, ultimately, is the deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So you don't know.
But I don't know if
Okay.
for how much. I don't know if it's a popular site. I think Jane had a
Yeah.
great idea to have a incubator of some sort there that the city would come in, but the city doesn't have the money.
No,
to
it's a
purchase
beautiful
it.
facility. They
Yeah.
did a lot of leading edge technology up there.
Right.
I was part of it, luckily,
Yeah.
but I was just curious.
So you had a great commute, huh?
Yeah, I did. I really did. It was great. Thank you.
Yeah, pleasure. See, that's the guy you got to talk to about the post office. Our intrepid Congressman Jimmy Panetta is here. He'll field that one. Any other questions for? Oh, yes, ma'am. Okay. Right.
Question about the property or subject to the builder's remedy at
The
the
Harry
end of
Road
Gary.
project?
So it's county property right now.
Correct.
Right? Will the city annex that at some point for property value income or?
Well, I don't know. And historically, that has been the case. But that conversation generally happens early on, and there's an understanding that the city will annex it. These builders remedy projects are a bit different. It's created a contentious relationship between the developer and the municipalities. So and again, well, I have not again, it's outside our urban growth boundary.
Mm.
And so it's sort of a chicken before the egg. There's a question whether or not they're going to have their own septic tanks.
Yes.
So they need to be annexed before they can plug into our sewage system.
Right.
And so I don't know that that's going to happen. And so if they've got septic tanks out there, I don't know that they'll ultimately
Is
ever.
there a negotiating point there? Is there, if the city were to annex it, would it change the builder's remedy proposition if it were already? No.
No,
That's
well,
not-
the
It's not a way to
developer.
muscle them back a little bit.
Yeah, so she's saying, is there an opportunity for us to negotiate with the developer based on this idea that they're going to be annexed and the benefit that they would receive for it? Is there some,
Correct.
when you say negotiation, you mean them building less units or?
For instance, some cities will ask the developer to put money or land aside for a soccer field
Yeah,
to
yeah. As a
support.
community community
fire.
benefit. Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
So as I mentioned earlier on, the state is wresting a lot of local control away from the municipalities. And so this builder's remedy is a prime example of that. So the developer doesn't have to do any of that. So by right, effectively, they can develop without having to provide the community benefits in the past that they would have negotiated with the municipality. This gentleman has something that he wants to say about, is this on topic? Is that what yeah.
Hi, thanks. I just wanted to point out that the builder's remedy in this case doesn't have to apply if the county doesn't want it to apply, because the builder's remedy provided for some exceptions if a property is zoned agriculture and if it's got two sides that are either for conservation or also zoned for agriculture. But the county needs to respond to the developer in written language that this doesn't apply. And as far as I know, so far, the county has not done that. But if you're interested, pressure on the county could be made to say, hey, tell them the builder's remedy doesn't apply. I think the county is a little concerned that they don't want to be sued and stuff. And also, even if the builder gets, his plans through, some hurdles because of the builder's remedy, it doesn't necessarily mean that the county has to let them build it. That's my understanding anyway.
I hate to disagree with you.
Okay.
So it's my understanding that the builder's remedy is meant to be punitive against municipalities that don't turn in their housing element. And so the local zoning ordinances or rules don't apply. It eliminates any of the zoning requirements. Yeah.
In the Harry Road case, because the property is zoned agriculture and on two sides it's agriculture, the builder's remedy law, whatever it was, makes an exception for that the builder's remedy doesn't have to apply if the county will write it in written language to the developer.
So I'm thinking,
And there are also other exceptions where
Yeah.
they say that the builder's remedy doesn't apply. But in this case, this large property south of Harry Road,
Yeah.
that would.
I hope you're right. That would be a saving grace, Jane. Margaret Abe Koga. Yeah. Yeah, and you vote. After the vote. Yeah, she made a good point. It's going to be after the vote. Ultimately, regardless of whether or not this gentleman, I hope you're right, there is going to be an EIR process, which is a CEQA process, which is environmental basically, any elected official has to have an informed decision of all the negative impacts or potential environmental impacts. This EIR document is where you can voice your concerns, and none is too small, none is too big. It's the only way that ultimately, after the EIR process, you can litigate this potentially. So unless you bring up a complaint or an issue in the EIR, you can't ultimately retroactively litigate it. So if you have concerns about this project, get it into the EIR document. Yes. It is. It is.
That's.
Yeah. But she said, I thought EIR wasn't required. SEEK was still part of the builder's remedy process. And again, I would encourage all this for the county and the project, and make sure you submit your comment specifically about the project and where you feel that it's going to be impacting the community negatively, whether it's traffic. Yeah, I would tell you to do it tonight, tomorrow, reach out. You can just send your email in to the whoever the planner is that's responsible for the project and tell them you want to include that comment in the EIR.
So Councilman, here I am again. I think it's important to note this is Monday morning quarterbacking.
Yeah.
As a councilman for the city. The reason why we had builder's remedy is because neither the city nor the county met their housing numbers.
No,
We
it's
don't have enough houses in California, and what we tend to do as citizens is complain when something's in our backyard, but we don't proactively try to encourage building in a state that is sorely in need of more housing.
right. But it's actually
Now we have builder's remedy.
yeah. So more specifically, it wasn't that we didn't build enough housing. Every general plan has a housing element, and it was the responsibility of every municipality every 8 years to update their housing element to accommodate whatever the state said you needed to do in terms of building housing. For example, San Jose is supposed to build 62,000 units over that 8-year period. So the municipality has to identify space within its borders to accommodate that. So that document, if you don't turn that document in on time and it's not certified, the moment it's late, the day after it's late, you can apply for a builder's remedy project.
Right. So I feel like I want to hold the city accountable.
Well, no,
In this case, the county,
no,
but
the
yeah.
county was even worse. So the city was roughly a year late. I think the county was the last one in the state to turn theirs in. I think they were 2 years plus late in turning their housing element in. So that window, that entire window, 2.5 years roughly, was an opportunity for one to file a builder's remedy project. And I don't want to add more angst to this, but there's roughly 1,400 units that have been proposed for builders remedy projects in the Morgan Hill area. So this back road has often been used as a cut through for folks. So you can imagine when there's 1,400 units in Morgan Hill, in addition to the units that are being proposed here on our side, the negative impact in terms of traffic that's going to have on us if everyone goes through and builds the units that they're shooting for. Any other? I think there was one in the back.
We have two questions from the Zoom. The parking, one listener noticed that the fence at the parking lot on Almaden and Camden has been changed. Is there any plans or new plans for that space?
Not that I'm aware of. There have been a number of things proposed there. It's my understanding that's a VTA site. For years, folks, I'm sure you guys are aware of this. Almaden is not viewed in the best light in the rest of this. They've built a EIH or some sort of affordable housing project or a homeless shelter on that site for years. And it's to give Almaden, so Almaden to eat its medicine, is what's been said to me over the years, but nothing's been proposed. I can't think of anything that's been proposed. It just may have been maintenance wise. They built it up, but I'm unaware of anything happening there.
Regarding the impending gas appliance ban, are you doing anything, and are your fellow council members doing anything to get the word out to the wider community? Is particularly this responder has regarding the need to upgrade, and if you have underground utilities, the cost and disruption associated with that. What sort of communications efforts are being made to be sure that people know what's possibly going to happen?
So if you type in code and San Jose does have on our energy site information about San Jose is actually imposing. So Regional knows what they want, the state knows what they want, and then the city can actually go. So San Jose is actually imposed a bit further to fairly complex. There's a webinar on the site as well that'll update you. But the city of San Jose has also set money aside. I think it's $2.5 million now, and I think they're going to refill that when it runs out to sort of offset the cost for San Jose residents that are it's a retro. So San Jose is getting the word out. I don't know if you haven't heard about it, but the REACH code is San Jose's version of this. And we do have money set aside for folks that they can apply if this applies to them. So whether you have the gas pumps are the big things that are coming out right now, whether you have an AC unit or a furnace, they want you to upgrade to the gas pump. And then the electrification, you know, forget the terminology that's used so that you can plug your EV in or what you need to do to your panel. So that's roughly $2,000 to $3,000 to do that. And there is a grant available in San Jose to offset those costs for you. So I would look up REACH code San Jose. There's a webinar and all sorts of information available there. Is that all? Right on. Thank you.
Thank you very much.